Thank you for staying with us on ABC 13 Weather Now as we continue to talk about Hurricane Francine. And here to help me with that is Houston Chronicle meteorologist Justin Ballard. Justin, welcome back to the show. Okay, hopefully you can hear me, right? We got audio good this time around?
I can hear you, and hopefully you can hear me.
Yes, we can. Awesome. So, Justin, let's talk about the unusual path Francine took towards Louisiana. I mean, I was speaking with Chief Meteorologist Travis Herzog earlier this week, and I think there's only about one, maybe two storms in recorded history that has had this track.
Yeah, it's not a very common track, right? Now, most of the activity that has affected Louisiana over the last 150 plus years of the hurricane record have kind of come from the southeast, maybe even southwest. But this is kind of an interesting case here, Francine. 152 tropical systems have affected Louisiana in some way, shape, or form. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean, all of those have made direct landfall in Louisiana since 1851, but 61 hurricanes, specifically Cat 1 to Cat 5, have made some sort of impact in Louisiana as well. 13 hurricanes have affected Louisiana since 2000. Of those, 12 making landfall. Only 2, maybe 3, I put Zeta in as a potential there, have kind of come in from any kind of direction besides south or southeast. So it's definitely an odd kind of direction that Francine's coming in.
Absolutely, yes. And so, I mean, a lot of hurricanes, we've been thinking about back to the season 2005, right? As that might be an analog year for this year. So that year we think about Katrina and Rita, right? How does this hurricane differ from both of those that hit Louisiana and the Gulf Coast?
Well, at least you've got the Katrina and Rita maps hopefully queued up, and you see the track is a good bit different. So it's out of either basically almost due south or in some sort of capacity southeast, especially I'm thinking about Rita in particular, which made landfall in far southwest Louisiana, almost on the upper Texas Gulf Coast, just a couple of miles shy of that. And that direction makes a big difference, especially where Francine currently is. If it were a couple hundred miles to the east, it would be in some of the warmest waters of the deepest part of the Gulf of Mexico. So that's kind of the difference. That's the big delineation between Francine right now as a Cat 1, pretty intense hurricane to be clear, but still not a Cat 3 or a Cat 4, which is what Rita and Katrina were when they came ashore.
Right, and when we think about Hurricane Francine now approaching the Louisiana coast, we are getting confirmation from different oil rigs out in the Gulf right now that those winds are well within Category 1 strength. Again, can we remind our viewers what kind of impacts they could see from Francine as Francine moves ashore?
I mean, if you've got friends and family in Louisiana, they're definitely going to be dealing with those occasionally hurricane force gusts, just like what we saw with Beryl, when it kind of came through Houston in early July. If you have some folks along the coast, storm surge, 5 to 10 feet is that peak storm surge. And that's a lot, especially in that area of Louisiana, because there's a lot of elevation there. So 5 to 10 feet of storm surge can cause some big problems. And I think you've seen words like life-threatening storm surge used there from the National Hurricane Center and the National Weather Service offices in that area.
Right. Thank you so much, Justin, for joining us with a deep dive into some data about hurricanes making landfall here in Louisiana. We'll be keeping a close eye on Francine this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.